Microsoft Excel employment test is the quiz which is used by employers to determine if candidate has enough Microsoft Excel skills to succeed on the job. Most of the time, the test is the scenario where you're presented with the business problem and you need to solve it using Microsoft Excel. In this video, I'll share with you some examples of the questions we frequently see on the test. Let's go ahead and get started. Here's an amazing question to test your knowledge of frequently used Microsoft Excel functions. Lakshmi needs to determine the smallest quarterly sales amount for 2023. Which of the following formulas can she use in Microsoft Excel to accomplish this? You're presented with the snippet of data, and you have 4 different choices to choose from. Formula min, and then you have values in parentheses, table B3 through table E6. Choice B, min FS, and then value in parentheses B3 through E6. Choice C, min A, B3 through E6 in parentheses, and last but not least, choice D, min B3 through E6. Take a close look, maybe pause this video to see if you can come up with the solution. On my end, I'm going to jump to Microsoft Excel to share with you my version, and obviously if you have a better way to solve it, please make sure to post in comments. I believe the correct answer here is choice D, using min function and then in parentheses supplying argument B3 through E6. To understand the answer, let's look at the data. We have source data for quarterly sales located in the range B3 through E6. We have 4 salespeople on the left, and then we have quarterly sales represented in the row 2. Min function returns the minimum value in the range of cells, and it can be used to determine the smallest quarterly amount for 2023. Since the formula is correct and the range of cells selected is correct, min function will calculate the smallest amount, and smallest amount is equals to 253.11. To reinforce the knowledge, let's also look at the incorrect answers to better understand why they are incorrect. Choice A is incorrect because it does not return the valid results. Let's try it. You see that the syntax is not correct. Choice B, min IFS function, sends the incorrect number of arguments into the function and thus generates an error. You've entered too few arguments for this function. Choice C, on the other hand, min A function, has too many arguments and doesn't return any results. So the correct choice here is choice D, when we use the min function to find the smallest sales. Do you have any other suggestions? Please make sure to post them in comments. Here's an interesting question to test how well you know average formula as well as its variations. Isabella is trying to calculate the average new wave sales across all the regions. Which formula should she select? You're presented with the data set as well as 4 different choices. Choice A, average formula and parameters to supply C2 through C10. Choice B, average A formula and parameters supplied are C2 through C10. Choice C, average if formula and the values are C2 through C10 and the second parameters is greater than 0. And last but not least is average if S, and then as the arguments you see the range C2 through C10, second argument is range A2 through A10, third argument is not equal to D, fourth argument B2 through B10, and the last argument is not equals to south. Take a close look to see if you can come up with the right answer. And on my end, I am going to jump to Excel to show you my version of the solution. And obviously, if you have a better way to solve it, please make sure to post in comments. As you might have guessed, the correct answer is choice A. All you need to do is type the average formula and then select the data set C2 through C10 to calculate the average sales value for all the regions. What's interesting about choice B is that technically it is also a correct answer. Average A with the range C2 through C10 will also calculate the average sales, but it includes all the values in the range, even if they have text or errors. In this case, since all values in the range are numbers, the 2 functions, choice A and choice B, will give you the same result. What's interesting is that option C, average if with the values C2 through C10 and second parameter greater than 0 calculates the average of all sales that are greater than 0 and gives you the same result. But it's not a recommended option because the end result may not always be the same as average of all sales. And the last choice, option D, average IFS with all the parameters that we supply, calculates the average sales for all products and regions, except for the product soda and except the values in the South region. This is more specific calculation than the average of all sales and does not represent the right answer. Did this question trigger some thoughts or considerations in your mind? Please make sure to share in comments so we can all learn. Here's an amazing question which is frequently used for analyst Excel assessment test. Steve is analyzing the dataset of sales transactions, which has gaps in data after system crash. Which formula should he use to determine the number of all revenue-generating transactions? And you're presented with the dataset as well as 4 different choices. Choice A, count A2 through A11. Choice B, count A and then the ranges E2 through E11. Choice C, count blank and then in parentheses dataset D2 through D11. And last but not least, count if C2 through C11 and then star in quotes. Take a close look to see if you can come up with the answer. What's interesting about this question is that all answers will generate the output, so there are no errors that will be generated. But to answer this question, you need to solve the business problem. And as usual, I'm going to move forward to share with you my version of the solution. And if you have a better way to solve it, please make sure to post in comments. I believe the correct answer here is choice B, count A for the range E2 through E11. Once we enter this formula, you can see that there are 8 records that are not blank. Let's count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And ultimately, this choice B, will count the number of non-blank cells in the revenue column. Since the revenue column contains the total revenue generated by each transaction, the result of this formula will be equal to the number of transactions for which revenue was generated. And this particular formula will help us answer the question, how many transactions actually generated the revenue? Now let's look at other choices to better understand why they are incorrect. Choice A, where formula is used, is count, and the ranges A2 through E11. There are 9 values counted as a result of this formula. And in fact, this formula will count the number of non-blank cells in the ID column. Since each transaction has a unique ID, the result of this formula will help us answer the question, how many valid transactions were there in total? Now let's look at choice C, count blank for the range D2 through D11. This formula returns value of 1. And this is absolutely correct because this formula counts the number of blank cells in the quantity column. And it helps us answer the question, how many transactions had no units sold? And last but not least is choice D, count if for the range C2 through C11 with the star in quotes. This formula returns the value of 9. And in fact, this is absolutely correct because this formula counts the number of cells in the product column that contain certain text. Since the wildcard was used, which star represents wildcard, all transactions with non-blank product values will be counted. This is why this formula is helpful to answer business question, how many transactions have non-blank product values? Do you have any other solutions or considerations? Please make sure to share them in comments so we can all learn. And now, here's the practice question for you. In this question, I'm not gonna give you the answer, but instead, I'm gonna ask you to post your solution in comments so I can give you my feedback. June is a small business owner, and she recorded her sales figures in Excel spreadsheet. She needs to calculate total sales for 2022. Which of the following formulas will calculate the sales correctly? You're presented with the data set and 4 different choices. Formulas are sum, add, total, and product, and they point to the range B3 through B6. Take a close look to see if you can answer the business question. And once ready, make sure to post your answer in comments so I can give you my feedback. Thanks for participating and good luck. Here's the very interesting question to test your knowledge of rounding in Microsoft Excel. Technology startup company sent 46 members for an off-site training. At the training facility, they were organized into 7-member groups. Which Excel formula do you need to use to calculate number of teams with all members, ignoring any remainders? You're presented with 4 different choices. Choice A, divide cell A2 by B2. Choice B, you use round down formula and supply A2 divided by B2 as a first argument, and as a second argument you supply 0. Choice C, you use round formula and then supply A2 divided by B2, and second argument you supply as 0. And last but not least, you use round up formula, and then in parentheses you supply division of A2 by B2 and second argument as 0. Take a close look to see if you can come up with the answer. Because on my end, I am moving forward to share with you my version of the solution. And obviously, if you have a better way to solve it, or have any other feedback or suggestions, please make sure to post in comments. I believe the correct answer here is choice B, round down. And the reason is because to solve this challenge, we need to use Excel formula which rounds the number down to the nearest integer. To simulate this scenario in Microsoft Excel, let's use round down formula, and you can see that it rounds a number down towards 0. And then let's supply arguments A2 divided by B2, and the second argument, which indicates how many digits we're rounding down to, would be 0. And then you see that the number of full-size teams is 6. If you don't trust Excel like I do, let's confirm the calculations by dividing the cell A2 by B2 without using any formulas, and you see that the number here that was calculated is 6.5714, and the full number is 6, which meets our criteria for original question. Do you have a better solution? Please make sure your version and rationale in comments. I get a lot of questions asked about skills tested as part of Microsoft Excel assessment test. Even though it might be difficult to predict what type of questions you will get in the test, I recommend focusing on the 5 key areas. I would recommend you focus on the most commonly used Excel formulas and functions. For example, sum if, average, min and max, and a lot of others. I would also focus on VLOOKUP function to pull the data from other sheet, and also focus on how to use index and match formulas. I would learn how to use COUNTIF function because this is an important function that might be used to count words or numbers. I will also make sure I know how to add hyperlinks to the content of the cell to point to the website and another place in Excel worksheet. If I would be preparing for the test, I will make sure I know how to use drop-down menus to limit the selections based on the content from another document. Is your experience similar to my observations? Which other questions do you see during the Excel hiring test? Please make sure to share your observations and comments. And on my end, I am going to continue to make sure you get ready for the test. Here's an amazing question which is not as easy to solve as it seems. Alexandra used today function to retrieve the current date, but it showed some decimal numbers. How should she fix the issue? You're presented with the snippet from Excel, which shows the date as well as the format in cell A2. And it shows that in the formula bar, it used the today function. And you need to select one of the 4 different choices. Choice A, wrong function used. Choice B, affected by regional settings. Choice C, wrong cell format. And then last but not least, choice D, data is centered in a cell. Do you know how to fix the error when using today function? Take a close look, maybe pause this video to see if you can come up with the solution. On my end, I'm moving forward to share with you my version of the answer, but obviously if you have a better way to solve it or have a different answer, please make sure to post in comments. As you might have figured out, the answer is C, wrong cell format. But why? Let's jump to Microsoft Excel to see how we can solve the issues. I try to simulate this scenario in Excel, and you see that cell A1 has a header and cell A2 has the actual value. And even though we typed today function here, the answer here and the value is 44961 instead of the correct today's date. The key to answer this question is in the data format. If you click instead of general and select short date, you see that it will be formatted to the today's date, which is February 4th, 2023. To understand the issue, we need to understand the today function in Excel, as well as what happened when Alexandra typed the function inside the spreadsheet. Today function in Excel is a built-in function that returns the current date as well as the date value. It's a volatile function, meaning that it recalculates whenever any worksheet containing the function is opened or changed. And this is obviously true because today's is changed, and yesterday was a different today than today. So the today function is useful for displaying the current date in a cell. But in this scenario, Alexandra used wrong data format with today function. So as the solution, she needs to correct the data format to desired data format. Did you figure answer on your own? Or did you come up with the different answer? Please make sure to post your answer and solution in comments. I would like to ask you to participate in our daily assessment test challenge. I post new question every day in the community tab of YouTube channel and give you an opportunity to answer it and try it. And I post answer in comments next day. So please make sure to check it out to test your knowledge. And now let's continue and get you ready for the test. Here's a wonderful question to test your knowledge of Excel formulas. Lisa is trying to use starting date in cell A2 to calculate end of the months in cell B2 using Excel formula. Which formula should she use? And she is presented with 4 different choices. Choice A, EO month, and then in parentheses, A2, 0. Choice B, end month, and then in parentheses, A2, 1. Choice C, end of month, and then in parentheses, A2, 0. And last but not least, choice D, date, and then in parentheses, and in quotes, A2. Take a close look to see if you can come up with the answer. Maybe pause this video and give yourself 10 to 15 seconds. This is about as much time as you get on a real test. Ready or not, on my end, I am moving forward to share with you my version of the solution. And obviously, if you have a better way to solve it or have an alternative solution, please make sure to post in comments. Here's the snippet in Microsoft Excel where I try to recreate this scenario. In cell A2, we have a date. And in cell B2, we need to do the calculations using the formula to determine the end of the month, end of January. As you might have guessed, the correct answer here is the function EO month. Let's use it. I'm going to type equal sign and then end of month. And then you see that this function returns the serial number of the last day of the month before or after specified number of months. So let's enter the full name of the function. And then in parentheses, we have 2 values. We have start date, for which we will use A2. And then we have month. And this value helps us calculate the number of months from the current date. Let me explain. So if we enter 0 here and hit enter, you see that it will calculate the end of January. But if I change the value from 0 to 1, it will calculate the end of February. And you can kind of go down the list. Let's just for fun do the end of March. For that we enter 2 and you see that it calculated end of March. So the correct answer here is choice A, EO month, and then in parentheses, cell A2, 0. Do you have a better or alternative way to solve it? Please make sure to post your answer and rationale in comments. I get a lot of questions on how assessment tests are used in the hiring process. I would like to highlight 3 important areas companies use assessment tests. They use them for hiring and employment decisions. For example, hiring manager or HR might choose to test the candidate before hiring them to ensure candidate is a good fit for the position. Second way to use it is grow talent inside the organization. For example, some companies use the test before making hiring decisions to promote the candidate. And last but not least, the third way to use it is to determine levels of motivation. For example, if your company is looking to implement a new system or technology, it might be helpful to assess people on their interests and motivation related to this technology. And now let's continue and get you ready for the test. Here's an amazing question to test your knowledge of Excel features. Jeremy is building a tank for a treatment plant. When he calculated initial volume, it showed as 40,000 cubic meters. he needs to make sure the tank's volume is 50,000 cubic meters. And Jeremy can only adjust the height of the tank to meet the specifications. Which Excel feature should Jeremy use? And you're presented with the list of 4 choices. Choice A, consolidate. Choice B, flash fill. Choice C, goal seek. And then choice D, none of the above. Take a close look at the snapshot provided with this question. You're presented with measurements of length, width, and height. And there's also information that volume is calculated as length multiplied by width multiplied by height. And then volume in the cell D3 is calculated as product of range B2 through B4. Do you know the answer? Give yourself a little bit of time, maybe pause this video to see if you can come up with the solution. And on my end, I would like to move forward to share with you my version of the answer. And obviously, if you have a better way to solve it, please make sure to post in comments. Here is the scenario simulated in Microsoft Excel. I believe that the best way to solve this challenge is to use Goal Seek feature of Microsoft Excel. Goal Seek feature in Excel is a part of what-if analysis tool and is used to find the desired result of a formula by changing the input value. Goal Seek can be accessed on the Data tab in the Forecast section in Excel ribbon under the What If Analysis button. After you access Goal Seek feature, you're presented with the dialog box. In the Set cell, we have a value of the cell D3, which is the volume calculation. We need to change the volume. Our target volume is 50,000 cubic meters. So let's put this value into the To Value section of the Goal Seek. And we need to get to the 50,000 cubic meters by changing the cell B4, which is the height. When we click OK, we are presented with the Goal Seek status dialog box, and here we just click OK, and you see that the volume was recalculated and the target height is 50. So the correct answer to the original question is choice C, Goal Seek. Do you know any other Excel features that can help Jeremy in his goal? Please make sure to share in comments. I have a surprise challenge for you. I'm gonna give you a practice question and ask you to solve it on your own and post the answer in comments. Isabella needs to find the highest sales amount for March. Which Excel formula expression should she use? You're presented with the data set and 4 possible choices. Choices A, B, C, and D. Take a close look to see if you can come up with the solution. And once ready, make sure to post your answer and solution in comments so I can give you my feedback. Thanks for participating and good luck solving the challenge. Here's the very interesting Excel test question where you need to calculate the first day of the next month. One of the manufacturing plants in Houston is using Microsoft Excel to schedule their work. Which formula should scheduler use to calculate the first day of next month? You're presented with today's date, which is February 10th of 2023, and you have 4 different choices for the formula. Choice A month with the parameters A2, 0 plus 1. Choice B, using date formula. Choice C, using date formula but with different arguments. And then last but not least, choice D, months with the argument A2. Do you know the answer? Take a close look, as the answer to this question may not be obvious. Ready or not, I am moving forward on my end to simulate this scenario in Microsoft Excel to show you my version of the answer. And obviously, if you have a better way to solve it, please make sure to post in comments. Here in Excel, we have current date, February 10th of 2023 in the cell A2. And I believe the correct formula here is month with the following arguments. Let's first understand the end of months formula, because I believe that it leads us to the correct solution. And if you see closely, end of months returns a serial number of the last day of the month before or after special number of months. The first argument is the start date, and then the second argument is the number of month. If we pick the start date as today's date, and then say 0 as the end of the day of the current month, it will return us the last day in February, which would be February 28th of 2023. To get to the 1st of March, we need to add +1 to the result of this formula. So I believe the correct answer here is choice A. End of months, argument A2, 0 as the month, +1. What's interesting, end of month formula can also accept negative arguments. For example, if for a month we will put -1, it will get us to the previous month, which was January. And by adding +1, we got to the first of the current month. But if we remove +1, we get to the January 31st of 2023. And if we use positive arguments, for example, +1, or we don't need to specify the plus, just 1, it will get us to the last day of the next month, which would be March 31st of 2023. Do you have any other uses of end of month formula besides scheduling? Please make sure to share in comments. As you might be well aware, one of the fastest way to get ready for the test is by practicing. And learning by practicing helps you understand key patterns used in a test to be prepared to anticipate different questions. There are only a limited number of patterns that can be used in a test, and you can learn about all of them by using ebooks for your practice. If you are in a rush and need to get for your test faster, please make sure to check out available resources at howtoanalyzedata.net. Our team of experts created these training materials based on the years of research, and they kept up to date with the questions employers use on the current assessment tests. Thanks for your endorsement, support, and patronage. And now let's continue and get you ready for the test. Here's an amazing question to test your knowledge of Microsoft Excel features. You're presented with the set of data which shows industry and number of people employed. Data table shows Texas employment in 5 key industries, and you need to determine the correct Excel feature used to display the percentage employed column. You have 4 different choices. Choices A, pie chart. Choice B, stacked bar chart. Choice C, advanced conditional formatting. And choice D, bar chart. Do you know the answer? Give yourself a little bit of time to see if you can come up with the solution. You typically get no more than 5 to 10 seconds to answer these types of questions on a test. On my end, I am moving forward to share with you my version of the solution. And obviously, if you have a better way to solve it, please make sure to share in comments. I believe that the correct answer here is choice C, advanced conditional formatting. And it is advanced because it is conditional formatting with data bars. Conditional formatting with data bars is a feature in Microsoft Excel that allows users to quickly visualize the relative size of values in the range of cells. It uses color code bars to represent the relative size of each value in the range, making it easier to compare values at a glance. Data bars can be used to highlight the values that are above or below a certain threshold, or to compare values across different categories. Now, let me share with you step-by-step instructions on how you can solve this challenge on the test. The first step is to analyze the data. What we see here is that we have data broken down by the industry. We have information technology, business services, education and health, leisure and hospitality, as well as manufacturing, and number of employed people in each industry. So to calculate percentage of employed people using advanced conditional formatting with data bars, we need to create new column and format the title, so the title matches other titles in this data table. In the next step, we need to calculate the values to represent percentage of employed people. We need to calculate total using the sum formula in Excel. In the next step, we need to format the values as a percentage using percentage data type. Then we select newly calculated values and on Home tab, click Conditional Formatting. We point to the data bars and then click to either solid field or gradient field. In our case, it is a solid fill. Do you have a better way to solve it? Please make sure to share your step-by-step instructions in comments. Here's a very interesting question to understand how well you know the formulas and functions working with textual strings in Excel. Camilla is a data analyst at manufacturing plant. She was assigned a task to extract the first name of the plant worker from their full names using Microsoft Excel. What is the correct formula she can use to perform this task? And there are 4 different choices. Choices A, B, C, and D. as well as the snippet of data, where column A contains full name of the workers and column B has the empty first name column. Do you know which one is the right formula to extract the first name? Take a close look, maybe pause this video to see if you can come up with the answer. And I'm moving forward so we can solve this challenge together. As you might have guessed, the correct choice is choice C. It uses left function and provides two arguments. First argument would be value of cell A2, and second argument would be find function, which supplies space, as well as argument A2 minus 1. Let's jump to Microsoft Excel to simulate this scenario. You see that in the question section, we need to extract full name, and John Smith has a space in between John and Smith. Let me go to the Answer tab to demonstrate. When I type the formula, you see the correct value in cell B2 is John. Let's understand how this formula works. Left function returns the specified number of characters from the beginning of the text. In this case, would be the first word, and it will return them until we find the space in between John and Smith. We also use find formula as an argument to actually find the space. What's interesting is we need to subtract -1 from the result of the find function. And this is necessary because the left function starts counting from the left side of the string, and the find function starts counting from the right side. Now, as a last step, let's replicate the formula across all the rows. And you see that it successfully extracted all the values. Were you successful finding the right formula? Please make sure you share your discovery process as well as possible alternative answers in comments. Thanks for watching. If the content was helpful, please give us a like and consider subscribing. This is the way for you to tell us that you need more content like this, and we'll make sure to deliver it for you in the future. For links and resources referenced in this video, please check the description. You can also go directly to our website, howtoanalyzedata.net, to find what you're looking for and download the materials. We really thank you for your endorsement, support, and patronage of this channel. Please leave feedback, suggestions, or corrections in comments. And all the best on your journey. I'll see you in my next video.